Hey everybody, welcome to Technically Unraveled. I am Kristen Fehrenbach, the Senior Director of Microsoft Go-to-Market here at Pax8. We have a jam-packed schedule per usual, but I do want to invite you to please subscribe, do all those great things. Want to make sure that you stay informed because we have a ton of content already planned for the rest of January. We're going to talk about certifications, Intune, Modern Workplace, tons of stuff. Today, we're actually going to talk about Dynamics 365 with Mat Batterbee. But before we get going there, I do want to go through some pertinent updates for Microsoft. So first and foremost, Pax8 Events. There's so much stuff coming throughout this next year. We've got virtual events, we've got mission briefings, we've got boot camps, virtual and in person. We're going to have a regular Microsoft reoccurring virtual meeting. Want to make sure that we're getting everybody invited to those. Please check out pax8.com/events. Next, claims for incentives. Super, super important. If you were earning incentives, you need to get all those claims in by February 15th. Super important. You will lose the funding if you don't get those in. So please make sure that you go through there. You want to make sure that you're going through, getting everything in. Keep in mind, you cannot start claiming for H2 until you are hitting that deadline of February 15th. So get everything done for H1, get all that wrapped up by February 15th. Then you can start claiming into this next half. Next, Microsoft Monthly Update. These come out regularly via email. They're also available through Pax8 Alerts. Make sure to check those out. Lots of good information in there. Next, MCPP course is live in Pax8 Academy. Please go through. You are going to have to log in to get to it, but it's got a really cool matrix. It really walks you through, what do you need for the partner program? It's a little bit complex. I know we're all shocked, but this really breaks it down. Has a really cool matrix that says, hey, you know what, if you're trying to achieve this, this is what you need to do. So Pax8 Academy is your place to go there. Last, before we get Matt on, I know we're talking so much about MCPP. This is super cool that Microsoft's continuing to do this, but it's Microsoft Training Days. The link's going to be down in the chat, and I think it's also down in the description as well. But if you sign up to attend these, you actually get a free voucher. So want to make sure that you're getting that. I think it's good for all the fundamental courses. So that's $100 free. Please make sure that you're signing up for those because that is absolutely the way that we want to continue skilling. So in the chat over here, I do want to know, what are you guys really looking forward to this next year as far as events? We've got so much stuff coming. Tell me what you're attending because I know that we'll be at some. But while you're doing that, I do want to introduce Matt. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm excited to be here.
Excellent. Matt, so tell us a little bit about yourself. You haven't been at Pax8 long, so, where'd you come from? Who are you? It's dark where you live, so tell us what's going on.
Yes. So I thought I'd have the windows, available so that people know it's nighttime here. How passionate I am about this and how much I want to be here. So I've been with Pax8 beginning of October. It feels like longer. That's why I have to think about it. But beginning of October, it's been an incredible ride so far. But I've been in the Microsoft channel for around 5 years now, leading and building and growing Microsoft Dynamics practices worldwide. Incredibly passionate about this. I've always been in the, I think from about month 3 in the channel, I was Dynamics and I was Power Platform, and that's been my pet project ever since. And I've absolutely fell in love with this as a career. So I'm just excited to be on this podcast, excited to be at Pax8, and I have a great boss, don't I?
I'm going to agree to that because I feel like I need to. So, and I'm just going to call this out first and foremost. I feel like we had Elliot with, his cool accent. Now we've got you. So, we're just going to continue on with this path because you sound great, Matt. So let's dive straight in. So look, Dynamics, don't hate me, okay? I'm going to say it. Sometimes it's referred to as the third cloud, Matt. And I know we are getting away. We're getting away from it, though. We are, because we're going to talk about why should they care about Dynamics? And we're going to talk about why we shouldn't refer to it as the third cloud, too.
Yes, definitely. And do you know what? Everyone refers to it as the third cloud or has done. And it's been that thing from even Microsoft. And I've been banging that drum for a number of years now that it is not the third cloud. You don't have to have a modern work and then an Azure and then a Dynamics practice, because then you're just delaying everything. You can offer true value to your customers right from the word go. We make it really easy, which is great. And we'll come on to that a bit later. But in terms of why partners should care, I did a post today, actually. I'm a huge data geek, as you very well know. And I went delving into just, key statistics of 2023. What is the focus right now? And when you look at the key sort of trends of what businesses are going to be spending money on, it's artificial intelligence, it's optimizing their cloud spend, it's automation, and it's cybersecurity defenses. So you look at I could literally refer all four of those things back to Dynamics, how it drives that
Sure.
automation, using artificial intelligence to help sales teams or customer service teams or whoever do their jobs better. How it drives, optimizing cloud spend. That's another one as well. And,
Sure.
right now, so many of our partners, customers are using Microsoft 365, but then they're also using all these other business applications that they're having to manage, service, pay for. So there is just a massive opportunity right now. And when you look at, I think it's the $200 billion that's going to be spent on SaaS in 2023.
Is that billion with a B?
That is with a B, yes.
Okay, billion.
You look at that, yeah, and CRM and ERP are the fastest growing SaaS markets. So you look at that huge spend, such a big percentage of that. Sorry, my camera's moving. I'm going to drive everyone insane with my camera moving.
You did like the arm out, and it wants to zoom in elsewhere, man.
I'm gonna have to wear that straight jacket.
You gotta keep it in the box. Keep it in the box.
Yeah, there we go. So yeah, Dynamics, everyone should care, and partners should really want to do this.
Awesome. Look, before we get too far in, we talk about ERP and we talk about CRM. So I want to make sure that, let's go through what those are specifically, because I don't want to just assume that everybody's on the same page. So when we talk about those, can we actually pull back up the SKUs? Because I think that this is really important for what SKUs we should focus on.
Yeah, definitely. And this is one thing that I really wanted to do in the channel, is really simplify Dynamics, and the funny thing is there seems to be this overcomplication of Dynamics, but then a real simplification of the Power Platform. Dynamics is just built on the Power Platform. So I don't know where that complication has come from, but I think it stems from how many different SKUs there are, partners not really knowing where to start. And what I've looked at is, I've really delved into the data of, what's being sold in the channel. And when I did that, I realized that over 85% of all Dynamics SKUs sold through the channel are Business Central, Dynamics 365 Sales, and Customer Service. So actually, we can really enable partners to get up and running faster, give them a good focus, and they're not missing a ton of the market by not offering commerce or project operations or whatever right away. They don't need to. They can really start with something like Business Central or Sales or Customer Service. It's going to add a ton of value to their customers. It's going to get their foot in the door on Dynamics. It's going to reduce their churn. It's going to increase their average deal size. All these things that's going to add a lot of value. So yeah, in terms of the CRM side and the ERP side, I'd really strip it down to those three as a great starting point.
And I think that makes it easy, because I think when you look at, the full wheel without everything all grayed out, you're kind of like,
yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. Like, where do I start to dissect and pull this apart? But I mean, when we look at our average business size, I think that these make the most sense for our typical partners. Is that true?
Yeah, 100%. And then even when you compare, so I know that even by just saying, okay, you could start with Business Central and Sales, there's different versions as well. So then there's there is a little bit of complication in there, but it's actually not that bad. You've got, let's just say Sales Pro and Sales Enterprise. What I found is the average deal size for both of them is exactly the same. So all that is does a customer want the added AI functionality and they're willing to pay a little bit more a month per seat? Or do they just want, stop laughing, my camera keeps moving.
You gotta stay here,
specifically
man.
For this session. But that's the thing, it's an easy thing to pick up on, and I've completely lost my trail of thought because my camera's moving around. So we can go to the next question. It's fine.
Good. So since Dynamics is not the third cloud, us here at Pax8, we are really working to transition to looking at it from an all cloud perspective to say, what, Dynamics is actually going to drive other cloud consumption. So Matt, do you want to just elaborate a little bit on what that could mean for our partners?
Yeah, definitely. So again, being a big data geek, I did a lot of digging into what are we actually seeing in terms of when a partner starts to transact Dynamics 365. And what I did was, because it'd be really easy to come out now and give massive percentages, but that would be completely skewed by a huge Dynamics 365 finance opportunity, for example, a huge enterprise opportunity. So what I did was looked at the data, focusing on those free SKUs that I talked about, and keeping it to the SMB side of things, what Microsoft 365 solutions they're using, and what does that do. And straight off the bat, I mean, it can drive the average deal size on a typical Microsoft 365 deal. Let's say it's Business Premium, E3, something like that. It drives the deal size up by 600%, which sounds like a lot,
Wow.
but
Okay. It
actually,
does.
it sounds like a lot, and it sounds like something that a partner might think, well, that's a huge uplift for the customer to spend on. I need to stop moving my arms. But but actually, the customer's already buying these solutions from elsewhere. Like 40% of an average customer's tech spend is on CRM or ERP. They're just not buying it from their Microsoft partner. They're getting it from elsewhere. Where actually we can consolidate that into the Microsoft ecosystem. It drives more Azure consumption. So you're actually likely to over double their Azure spend over time. You're more likely to transact following Dynamics than you are following Microsoft 365 as well. So I always say to partners that have come to me and said they want to grow their Azure practice, start selling Dynamics. Like, that's the way you do it. See, it zoomed in on me when I said that, because it is so apparent that that's what's got to be
Yes.
done.
Yes.
Now, and there's so much more earning potential in there, but even the fact that less than it's around 1-2% of all Microsoft
Okay.
365 customers use Dynamics today. So there's a huge market. It's the fastest growing SaaS market. It provides the best opportunity, the best growth, the best churn rates, everything. So there is so many advantages. And actually today, less than 8% of the Microsoft channel actually transacts all the clouds. So Microsoft 365, Azure, Dynamics, and the Power Platform, but they're responsible for over 60% of annual revenue. So the smallest percentage of partners responsible for the highest
That's
percentage of
crazy.
revenue. So
So
it's
Pax
just,
8 is
yeah,
going to work to grow that 8%, is what you're saying.
100%. That's it's one of those. I always set little goals for myself, and I completely agree. I feel like that needs to be easily in the double figures. It really highlights the growth opportunity, because though that small batch of partners also grow on average 20% faster per year. They're billing more licensing. They're doing more cross sell. Like, all a partner really needs to do to start growing faster is that approach with all cloud, adding true value to a partner, to a customer. Sorry.
So when we talk about building a Dynamics practice, I think that there's a couple different ways that partners can go about it. And when you look at 8%, there's only 8% of partners that are transacting all three. They're making up the biggest portion of the revenue. Matt, I mean, building a Dynamics practice, it takes time. Or is there another way, another resource that people can use to start selling quicker?
Yeah, they can use me. No, they can use Pax8. They can use us to be their practice for them. You are exactly right in building a practice. From what I've seen historically, you're talking 18 months to 2 years to build it, to get it right. Because you've got to allow for a couple of the first implementation probably isn't going to be perfect. You're going to need to go back in and make some amendments there along the way to really help the customer, because also the customer might not know exactly what they want. So it might not be your fault as the partner. It's like working together. So there's a lot of things that drag out that approach of building a practice, and in order to get it right. So the way that we go about this to really make it a speedy process is what's called P2P, or partner to partner, or peer to peer. Wherever you're from, there's different names for it. But essentially, that is, if you're a Microsoft 365 partner, let's say, and you have a Dynamics opportunity, you could bring that to us. You can transact the licenses, but you could have an expert partner working alongside you that can do the implementation. And actually, what I found, because some partners will get nervous about that, they'll think, oh, it's another partner coming in, and you open yourself up to your customer. But actually, I found that if a partner is really confident about the approach to their customer, it just drives value, because you're basically saying to your customer, I'm not going to lie to you and say that I can do this. I'm the expert in what I've sold you already or what I'm selling you, but I'm going to bring in another expert that can do this at a world-class level to make sure you've got the best implementation, the best ongoing support alongside what we're doing. If you can be that confident as a Microsoft partner with your customers, all it does is adds value. Again, it increases that stickiness. The customer is going to have more trust in you because you're not just trying to sell and sell loads of services and stuff that you can't really do. You're working together, and more partners now are partnering up on other things other than just Dynamics, Azure, even modern work, Power Platform. Partner to partner is just a part of the Microsoft channel now, and you can search for Microsoft partner to partner on a search engine, and you're going to find websites and information that Microsoft put out there about this. So it's not only the fastest route to market, but in some it's the best.
Well, and I think that partners are getting a little bit more comfortable in that space because originally, I mean, it was, oh my God, there's somebody else working in my lane. You know, what happens if they go around me? But as this has continued to develop, nobody's going to know everything about Microsoft. It is such a vast world. And especially you, I mean, you saw all the SKUs, right? Like that's just Dynamics. Plus we've got Azure, Modern Workplace, all of this. So I think that it's becoming more and more common. And to speed that up from, you said 18 months to 2 years, to say, hey, you know what? I actually want to start doing this tomorrow. And how do I start doing that? Well, one, I guess you call Mat Batterbee is what he just said. And two, we're going to get you with a P2P partner. But as far as the P2P partners, I mean, they're trusted and vetted, Matt, through Pax8. So you want to talk a little bit about that? Because, I mean, it's not just random people that we're suggesting, right?
Yeah, this is it. You know, we do a lot of speaking with those partners to understand what they're good at. And this is what's really interesting about P2P that I didn't mention. Some of the most successful P2P is between Dynamics partners. So you might have a Dynamics partner that is world class in Business Central, let's say, and we work with some of them. And then you might have another Dynamics partner that's world class in CRM. So they will work together on opportunities. They will pass each other opportunities. That's essentially how this can work really successfully. So those Dynamics partners, again, they're staying in their lanes a lot of the time. There's very few that will say, okay, we can do absolutely everything. I've been on partner to partner opportunities where I've had like 3 Dynamics partners and the initial Microsoft 365 partner working on an opportunity. And it was a very big, very obscure opportunity with lots of different SKUs, and it worked really well. In terms of those partners, we just make sure that they are the best at what they do. We fully understand, and our teams fully understand, okay, if it's this size deal, it sort of fits Business Central, we're going to pass it to this partner. If it's a Power App opportunity, we'll pass it to this partner. And I think we're just playing to their strengths and making sure that we're getting it right. And that way, it's really streamlined for the partner, for the customer. There's no messing about. We're not trying to get partners to compete for a deal. The Dynamics partners, it's just a nice flowing process that just makes sense.
I like it. And okay, so we talk a little bit about there's a huge opportunity. There's an easy way for them to start. I think something that is important that we talk about is how do you identify a Dynamics opportunity? If you're new to this and you're saying, you know what, I need a good way to understand where this could fit. What is your suggestion, Matt?
So I actually have a slide for this around spotting opportunities. And this is something that we do at Pax8. So we'll actually, deliver an initial sales training to the partners that want to take this on, because you can actually spot Dynamics opportunities and even ask the right questions to get an opportunity without even mentioning the word Dynamics. And without even, trying to sell it, you're just asking the right questions and looking for the right things. So in terms of looking for the right things, it's things like security concerns, duplication and repetition of work, outdated processes. I remember I actually bought my house during COVID, and the solicitor was like, I'm going to print this off, and I'm gonna fax it, I'm gonna email it to you. Then you've got to print it, sign it, scan it. And I was just like, okay, it's not 1995, so what else are we going to do here?
Are you sure? Because it sure does seem like it.
So those outdated, they still exist today with paper-based processes, but things like data silos as well. And what I mean by that is, if you're speaking to a customer and they talk about, okay, we use, and I'll name solutions now, and none of these are bad solutions, I will just say, I'm just going to name them, but they might say they use like HubSpot for their CRM, they use Zendesk for their customer service, they use QuickBooks for their finance, they have an Excel spreadsheet for something else. All these things is they're not talking to one another. If you're getting sales opportunities through the door, it's not automatically updating finance. So forecasting is very much like a guessing game. Whereas they having those data separated off in different
and I know that
solutions.
finance people love the guessing game. That's the finance people's favorite thing, is like, hey, we don't really know where the money is. It's fine, right?
Exactly. I mean, what finance person doesn't want to know when the next deal's coming in or anything like that? It's just crazy. So yeah, and those data causes the security concerns, but it also causes the other problems you'll see with lacking of productivity. There's a statistic out there that's like 70% of a salesperson's time is spent not selling. It's spent on admin and all these other things, and that is because of rubbish technology. Or just rubbish technology because they've got too many,
rubbish technology.
Just too many applications. Again, I use a typical example of they do a sales call, they're updating their notes on OneNote. They then have to kind of copy and paste, make amendments to save it into CRM. They then need to update their boss by email or something, or a Teams message. They may need to loop people in. If you've got Dynamics 365 Sales, you can do all that from Dynamics. If I need to drop you a message based on an account or a sales lead, I can do that from Dynamics. So I don't even have to go from one screen to Teams. If I want to send a follow-up email, I can do that right from Dynamics, and it'll automatically put on my signature or whatever is on from Outlook. If I want to even take notes on a call, it'll automatically do a transcription of the call. It'll save down those details. So lacking of productivity, Dynamics is going to solve those problems. And then another is just the unable to adapt quickly, the ever-changing customer needs of the life that we live in now. If your end customers are unable to adapt really quickly to change, a huge change in 2020. I'm not going to bring it up, but how quickly did your customers adapt to that? I'm not going to say it, but how quickly are we able to adapt to these things? So
sure.
Yeah, they're the top things that partners can look at to spot those opportunities without even asking a question. Just listen to a customer have a little moan about their business.
So what keeps you up at night? What are you stressed about? What's funny though is you talk so much about the process and how are you communicating better, and people usually associate those to modern work. And I think it's important that, we really kind of double click and say, hey, you know what, this can also be a Dynamics opportunity. So can you give us a few maybe conversation starters that can get us there?
Yeah, sure. So again, I've got a slide with a few questions, and it's not to try and script a partner, because again, everyone's got a different relationship with their customer, and every customer is different, and everyone's different. But it's a case of asking the questions that are going to open up. So very open questions, no really closed questions. You're not really even asking what CRM system do you use today, because if you ask that question, you'll very quickly do a comparison. You want to ask open questions about the solutions they're using. Does the solution you use today integrate with Teams? Does it integrate with Outlook? All these kind of questions. Does your sales, does your marketing team have access to sales information to help them market at specific times of the year, or seasonality and all these things? So asking really open questions is what's going to open up the opportunity. And again, you don't even have to mention Dynamics. If you look at any of those questions, Dynamics isn't there. It's all about, are they using multiple solutions to do a single role? Does the owner of the business or the managers have a 360-degree view of the business or their team? Are they able to easily get client information up? Are they able to do that within Teams? So yeah, very open questions is my advice.
I mean, being able to just have that full view for leaders, I think that's so important, because instead of saying like, hey, you know what, go have that conversation, put it in an email, then send it to me and do this and do that, being able to go and just dive directly into the information yourself and cutting out all those extra steps is awesome.
Well, this is it. And you said, data is the new oil. That's the theme. That's what they say. Data is the new oil. Again, from my statistic post earlier today, there's 200 zettabytes of data in the cloud by 2025. What systems are they using to harness that data? And are they able to actually use it to do forecasting, to target customers at the right time, to fully understand their customer base. It's the same. Do you know what? It's the same in the Microsoft channel when I speak to partners, and I might say something to them like, "Oh, you've got 20 customers in the construction industry. So what are you doing to target them specifically?" And their response is, "Have I?" They don't know because they don't have the data that they're looking at. The customers have the same problem as some of the Microsoft partners. See, my camera's going all over the place. It's a serious point.
It is, obviously, because the more data that you have, I think the quicker that you can move, and you're just arming yourself with more information. So if you were a partner, Matt, would you go to a PDP practice, or would you work on maybe doing one in-house if it was you?
If it was me, I would go down the P2P route. And then over time, what I would find is if I wanted to go down the practice build route, and that is definitely something that I have supported partners on in the past, I've helped them go from nothing to a fully fledged Dynamics practice. It's not impossible. I've done it quicker than 18 months to 2 years as well. But what I would say is there's no harm in doing the P2P whilst doing that practice build, because you're going to learn from these amazing partners that we work with. You're going to learn from them how they engage with the customer, how they go about their implementation, all these different things that you will learn to help you with your practice build. So I would say you could do both at the same time, but I've also worked with partners for the entirety of me being in the channel that have just done P2P, and they're just happy because they're getting the licensing, getting those rebates, they're owning their customer relationship. They've seen a massive drop in their churn, massive uplift in their net new customer ads, all the benefits that I talked about at the beginning. So some partners are just saying, do you know what? P2P, that's all I'm going to do. I'm happy. My customers are happy. That's fine. So you could do that, or you could do both at the same time.
Excellent. So I'm not going to say anything too crazy, but I do want a little insight, Matt, because I know we've been talking about something pretty exciting, because I think that Dynamics, you kind of have to warm up to, maybe learn a little bit more. I know we're talking about maybe hosting some Dynamics demystifications. You want to tell us a little bit? I know they're not live yet, but give us a sneak peek.
Yeah. So I'm going to be doing, I've got many more slides to share with people on these demystifications. So there's some of the crazy statistics that I've been coming out with, and the growth opportunity and all these things. I have them in slides. I'm going to be showing those during those demystifications. I'm going to be taking more time. I'm going to take time to answer questions as well during that demystification. And they're going to be running on a monthly basis. So I'm really excited to get those off the ground to help as many partners as possible. As you can hopefully tell by my voice, I love this.
No, and I think it's great because sometimes, partners aren't ready to dive into the Dynamics boot camps, right? So let's just give them a little step, and then we can dive right into the deep end. So Matt, I want to say thanks so much for joining us today. It's been such a pleasure, and thank you for staying up late to have this conversation today.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you very much for having me, and feel free to have me on again, because I love talking about this stuff.
Well, that's great, because you're already in the rotation, Matt. So tell us what else you want to see from Technically Unraveled. Put it in the comments. We are consistently building more content for you, so we need to know what is important for you to see. Make sure tomorrow you tune into the game. It's 2 p.m. Mountain Time. You want to hang out with Dom and Matt. They have such good security content coming. But make sure you like, subscribe. We will see you next Thursday at 4 p.m. Mountain. Have a good one. Thank you.